education and training, which actually this is very good lah. Okay, so actually for policy 2, we are done with the thesis, correct? It seems to work. It's possible for any country, including small and open. Okay? But what's the antithesis? If I'm responding to small and open, right, there's actually a very huge problem here. And the student here, only one student, alright, in RI. The student here is scaffolded very well. What's the problem? Yes, Esther? Yeah, brain drain. Yes, actually the key idea here is brain drain. Because higher income tax no longer conducive, some Singaporeans want to leave, correct, can? And also actually outflow of or fall in influx of later someone is going to ask what's FT. Harold, what's FT? Harold, what's FT? Okay, very good. So actually this reduces quantity, reduces quality, affects growth. Now, class, what's the direction I'm taking? The question says, is it possible to achieve inclusive and growth? Inclusive growth, oxymoron. Inclusive, no growth. Get it? This question is not very easy. Can follow or not? You have to write this way. Prove your worth, alright? At the moment, Harish. But then, having said that, yes, Harish, I didn't ask you to stand.
Okay.
Yes. Can you see this, Harish? Do you think this one got no strength? Their strength is that teacher teach everything they remember. Okay, till here is everything alright? So which one should I erase? Okay, nothing can be erased. Okay, let's use this. When I do recording, right, when I keep moving this panel, the person watching will the person watching be very confused. Okay, let's not care. That's Aaron, right? Okay. Now, third policy. Okay, now the third policy, actually incidentally, right, we've discussed this, we've discussed this. Because you get the income, you distribute. Alright, let's discuss the third one. Minimum wage. Singapore can use this, correct? So, if you are from a JC in Bishan, you will show minimum wage this way, correct? But being RI students, you will show minimum wage this way. You want to start thinking, minimum wage is to reduce income gap, right? Got problem or not? Does inclusivity conflict with growth? Obviously, right? So, plus, alright, this is, you set minimum wage above equilibrium. So, increase in wages for lower income, they can meet subsistence needs, right? So, reduce income gap. But very obviously, what are two key problems that arise from looking at this diagram? Caitlin, respond. Since you already opened your mouth. You can't tell the like. But you don't have to care about my direction. I'm keen in hearing your direction. Did you speak like that for your OP? Why do you have to shift the... Alright. No, wait. You better say. Alright, you say rise in cost of production. Say.
Oh shit. Oh, okay. Like, because your wages will probably, like, because you have your wage, then you like...
Well, piano is so fragmented. Let's say.
Then you need, yeah, then you need your cost of production using gas. Then what?
Correct? Now, actually, why do we link to here? If you look at the small and open, we are X reliant, we are FDI reliant. That's why our government says they are very against the minimum wage, which makes sense, right? So again, you realize that there's a policy conflict because, well, alright, you increase inclusivity, meaning that you reduce income gap, but actually growth is affected. That's the way I see this question. Oftentimes, it is very difficult to achieve inclusivity and growth at the same time, but we have already given them the best policy, which has problems. Do you get it? Okay? Actually, this part, right, if you see this, is the same as... Oh, it's actually not the same. It's not the same. FDI, sorry, foreign talent, X minus M FDI. That's why if you see a word like small and open, can you please dissect the word first? Okay? Actually, there's another problem, which I don't know why you all didn't see. Do you realize that Q1, QE retrenched? Meaning that, in the first place, you are not reducing income gap. You are hurting the people. You are trying to protect, correct? So in many ways, actually, it's not the best policy to go. Alright, this one, I'm not sure whether it applies to small and open, but it doesn't matter. Just like your essay part B, right, if actually you really cannot write, then just link to limitations. This Ethan and Kiefer, why so much discussion? Now, so moving from here, hey, but I ask you a question. In Singapore, do we have minimum wage? We really don't have. So actually in Singapore, right, we have got progressive wage, which people argue it works like a minimum wage. So it may not be the best way to go, correct? But you see, our progressive wage is coupled with upskilling. So win already, lor. So our advantage over minimum wage is that we focus on education and training. Right? Now so, if you were to write here, right? Can I move over here? Aaron, okay? I hope you are focused, Aaron. So if I do a comparison here, right? I've discussed minimum wage. I've discussed so many. I've discussed education and training. Income tax more progressive, and minimum wage. Do you realize that this and this cause problems, but this doesn't cause problems? Isn't it? So, Evaluation, 3K must focus here. Actually, education and training is the best way to go because it can achieve both compared to minimum wage, got problem, increases cost of production, and then compared to income tax more progressive, reduce quantity of talent. Do you follow? Alright. So actually right, I was thinking about this question, that's the best policy. But you see, it remains to be seen. Can I actually just discuss one policy? For example, let's say in this exam, in the A-levels, let's think about this. Janelle runs out of time. Education and training, 2 and 3. She wanted to write 2. She wanted to write education and training. And then she wanted to write minimum wage. But reality just doesn't pan out. Alright, she's got 10 minutes left and she wants to discuss sustainability. So what does she do? She has this, she doesn't have this. How can she save herself? Can she still have an evaluation like this? What's your best bet? Will you actually still try to write that without discussing? Of course, of course. You see, so in many ways, actually, education and training is better than other policies like a minimum wage because, actually, in that paragraph itself, you can tell me a little bit about minimum wage. Do you get it if you are running out of time? Because after all, we say 3 policies only, right? Can follow, Alright, how much time left? Questions before I clean the board?
I just go to walk back. You might think that is it's not that hard. But we're angle.
Okay, I ask you a question. So if this is the last question you do for the A-levels, okay, you reach here, got 15 minutes left. Which one will you discuss? Pollution or depletion of resources? Deshanya, which one will you discuss? Is there a Deshanya here? Depletion. Okay, share with me what you want to discuss. So before, okay, I'll give you time to think, okay? You see, if Janelle faces a problem, like just now actually over at when she was discussing the inclusive growth, she wanted to discuss 2 policies, but she realized that she ran out of time. She wouldn't have insisted on discussing 2 policies. She will have one for inclusive growth, one here. Correct? That's the way to do it. So now, Deshaya says depletion. Come, let's hear from you. I'm giving you time. Now, so what policies can you use to deal with depletion of oil, minerals, and all that? Yeah, you never think. Correct? You want to say depletion of labor, is it? I think people hardly discuss depletion of labor. Is it drop dead? Or what? So, do you realize that you are caught in a rut? I want to hear from you. Actually, you can suggest, right? You can suggest quota. And interestingly, right, I put a question mark here. I don't know why you all love to say quota. Restrict production, restrict volume. To me, not the best thing. Alright. restrict the use of all these things because they are actually, finite, right? So, but the problem is affects growth, isn't it? You can discuss ban, which is worse. Correct? Maybe this is not so bad. R&D. Louder? Can. This one's quite good. Alright. Energy. Here anyhow spend efficiency, right? Reduce costs, increase productive capacity. Sounds like correct, right? So achieve sustainability and growth. You see, it seems like actually growth and sustainability are at odds, right? But here can achieve. Not bad, this one. Alright, so your wind mass, Singapore cannot. Doesn't matter. What else? Solar, Singapore can. Alright, not bad. Alright, I didn't think of this, but because oil is finite. Very good. Except that this one really long time lag. It's not an antithesis but evaluation. Need huge funding. No guarantee of success, but it is possible. Okay? Not bad. So that's R&D lah. Isn't it? Okay? If you go this way, quite good. But what if, right? What if my opinion is that largely, right? By and large, depletion of natural resources is actually beyond Singapore's control. Do you agree? Kiefer, why? You just always hand gestures. Open your mouth. Actually, because we don't have it's beyond our control, no? Alright. Because we import these. That's why actually for me, I didn't want to develop an answer in this direction. And secondly, right, is this very schizophrenic? Ethan, you are the master at telling me. See these two ideas together, is it very schizophrenic? He said I don't. I think exam you better tell yourself I don't know so that you don't write your fourth idea. Okay. Now moreover, right, Singapore's comparative advantage is not in manufacturing but in service oriented. Actually, there's less need for natural resources. You can pen down this argument. Not sure if you agree. Actually, Singapore depletion of minerals, right, except for oil, depletion of other inputs may not be such a huge problem because our competitive advantage is banking. Banking need a lot of oil. Alright, financial services, medical, educational services, of course need oil, power, but not as much as countries that focus on factory production. Tell me, you don't have to buy this, and therefore is this very schizophrenic? By and large, depletion of resources is beyond Singapore's control. Moreover, our competitive advantage lies not in areas where we need use of a lot of resources. Okay, I'm going to discuss schizophrenic, okay? However, alright, crude oil is an input that Singapore is very dependent on. Okay? For once, I've become like you. I think it works. Alright? If you have nothing to say, then it seems to work. Alright? Now, class, if actually your second policy goes this way, it's good enough. And this one got more framework one. Okay? Okay. What time does the lesson end? Now? 55. 50 or 55? 55. Okay, I'm going to one. Actually, I find this easier. Pollution, right? Do you recall that? Help you recall, okay? tradable permits. Go home and cry. We have shown all this market failure. Carbon tax. 3. Tax on good produced by factory. You can even have a quota lah, but actually generally I don't like quota. 4. R&D. Which right, if Excel is writing, she can link these two together. Alright, can? Now I want you to think very briefly. Wait, there's something very strange. The essay has become microeconomics. Is it okay? Are you comfortable with the fact that the essay has become microeconomics? And why not? Because you're talking about pollution, right? Pollution has got to be linked to market failure, isn't it? So here, if you want to use the framework, I'm not going through in detail with you. If you want to use the framework, you are fine. Now, actually, amongst these 4 policies, this is the best, isn't it? As we have explained here. But the same problem, long, lag, need, funding. Okay? I want to ask you, of these 3, right? To test you a bit, do you recall what diagram you use? Or rather, my question to you is that of these 3, right, which one is the worst in terms of achieving sustainable growth? Harish. Harish, take your pick. Take your pick, Tang. 1, 2, 3, which is the worst? Huh? Which one? No. It's this. Agree? Remember that was the first diagram we learned last year? If you impose a tax on the soap factory, their cost rises, they reduce supply. How come a fall in output is a problem? If firms reduce output, what does it affect? If firms price solid, I mean, if the tax is on many firms, does it affect growth? Correct? Actually, this is the worst policy. You actually achieve sustainability at the expense of growth. However, without going into details, and class, can I check with you, do you know the difference between a carbon tax and a tax on a good? A carbon tax is actually a tax on emissions. A tradable permit, the government stipulates a social optimal level, correct? Each firm given permits, but the permits can be sold, right? The smaller firms or those that don't produce enough, they can sell the permits to firms that want to pollute more. Now, the advantage of this tool is that there's incentive to reduce pollution, to find greener ways, without going into details. And they might be better than taxing the good produced by the factory. How do you write this essay? I'm not sure. I'm not taking an exam. I imagine that maybe you can just discuss this too. Do you get it? And then maybe Excel can link to this. She suggested this. So right, then you compare these two law. One is better than the other. Alright, okay? Enough work for you to revise for the test. Conclusion. I wanted to say achieve inclusive
Because my phone is not in there.
But before the bell rings, right,
No, just now it was doing
you
good.
start thinking, you can question me also, although I won't have a response for you. Alright. Can I actually go this way? It might be easier to achieve inclusive rather than sustainable. Is that an opinion? Why? Because sustainable, as we said before, alright, resources are beyond Singapore's control. Actually, our sustainability depends on the world, whether they are able to maintain all resources, right? Isn't it? And then, right, see, later if you all go and upload this, right, then the Indonesians and even Malaysians will come after me. In Singapore, sometimes people say that our pollution is caused by who? I never said what country, right? Some people say that our pollution might have been caused by neighboring countries, right? So that one how? Then Augustus said, well, go and have agreement to ratify all. That's fine, alright, as it works. So the haze travels, some people say, from Indonesia to Singapore, right? Okay, Malaysia doesn't cause pollution, right? For us. Now then, over here, where you discuss inclusive, right? You see, it's easier for us because you people know at the moment we have this, correct? Don't ask me what is this, Okay, then the other thing is that you can also say education and training is the best way to go, right? Which is what I told you. Although it's long time lag plus receptivity. Now class, can I just repeat? You see, oftentimes what I put in the conclusion there seems to be a repeat of what I have given you. For the very simple reason that my opinion always surfaces in the level analysis. Do you get it? Okay? So actually this is not repetition. Well, I mean, if you didn't write this, then fine then that becomes your evaluation. Okay? The only problem, like what I told you earlier, is that when you leave everything to the end, do you remember things at the end? Okay? And that's all we can offer for this essay. Oh, did I discuss workfare supplement? I didn't, right? We've got time, we can weave it back. That should be in the level analysis. One last idea. You see, some other countries in the West, they have got unemployment benefits. Correct? In Singapore, we have got workfare supplement. Look at this, 3K, you are focused, right? It's another idea. They both reduce income gap, right? But which one does not conflict with growth? Because this one, you must work, right? So there's incentive to work. So it may increase growth. I forgot to include this when I discussed. This should be part under transfer payments. Because the government is giving people money. Right, you follow this. But it's based on the philosophy that you work, then you get money. Okay? Seriously, if I'm like you, right, and I forget to write this until I reach the end, right, I'll write this in the conclusion. Okay? Yes. Bracing for myself for 2 tutorials. Guessing the thing is off, right?
Not yet.